With one notch already in her gun belt, last week's champion Tish Johnson awaits her next victim. But the posse isn't far behind. ESPN and the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour present the championship round finals of the Yuba City Open, live from New Generation Lanes in Yuba City, California. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to New Generation Lanes in Yuba City. For the first time, the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour has visited this brand new, beautiful facility, and it was a good week for my partner, Jan Schmidt, who ended up in the number 7 position, almost made it to the top 5 here this evening. Let's talk about the common denominators tonight. Of course, we have Marie Duggan back on the telecast, Cheryl Daniels, and our top seed, Tish Johnson. Do you think she can win 2 in a row?
Well, I think she can. I talked to Tish about it, and she was real confident about winning 2 in a row. She knows she can. She won 3 in a row back in the fall of 1990, and she's really looking forward to doing it tonight. And the way she's been bowling, I really think she will.
Let's now chat about our number 3 seed, former U.S. Open champion Karen Ellingsworth, who won last year near her hometown of Hoffman Estates. It was the last time that she'd even qualified for the top 24, but over the last 6 months, Jan, she's had all sorts of health problems.
She has. She's had 2 herniated discs. She's been working with doctors, been working with therapists. They did not believe she'd be able to compete anymore because of the games required to compete on the tour. But she bowled last week, pain-free, and she's bowling this week again, pain-free. She's hoping to bowl next week, and she said she's just happy to be out here and happy to be competing again.
You know, Jan, it's interesting because when she won that last telecast in Hoffman Estates, she defeated our number 5 seed tonight, Linda Kelly, who is in a position to look for her first ever LPBT title, but she has a lot of international experience.
That's right. Linda Kelly has bowled against the world's best amateurs. She's bowled on Team USA in 1988 and 1990, and she's also gained some experience working in our regional program. She has 2 regional titles, but the thing she wants tonight is that first national title.
And will she get it? Only time will tell. She's just about ready to shoe it up against our current U.S. Open champion, Marie Duggan. Championship round pair, lanes 27 and 28. Jan Schmidt, the crowd is fired up here in Yuba City. They turned out in full force all week long.
Oh, they've been here always supporting us. They've been great. We've had a lot of applause, a lot of encouragement from the fans.
5 finalists averaged right around 208 on the championship round pair throughout the week. I've been throwing some strikes in warm-ups, but on the synthetic lanes, the lane conditioner has a tendency to move around a little bit. We're liable to see a little bit of everything tonight, perhaps some 2-8-10s, washouts, who knows, as Marie leaves the 2-pin on the opening shot.
Ball just didn't quite finish. The conditioner is carrying down quite a bit now.
Easy spare attempt for Marie, making her 2nd consecutive appearance in the championship round. Of course, later on in this winter tour, she'll be defending her U.S. Open title out in California. Fans were wondering if that ball was going to hook back, but there was never a doubt in Anne-Marie's mind. And a good look at Linda Kelly out of Huber Heights, Ohio, which is the Dayton area. Really a very talented player. A player that's bowled all over the world in terms of her amateur career, and is now in her 2nd year full-time on the LPBT tour.
She's done quite well.
First shot kind of through the nose as she leaves the 3-6-10, and already we see something, Jan. If you go a little bit too far right with the ball, perhaps you might leave a washout or a 2-8-10, and if you set it a little bit short, it goes through the nose.
That's kind of the reaction we've been having, particularly in the evening blocks. It seems that they got tighter on towards the gutter, and if you pull it a little bit, it would hook. In the morning, you seem to be able to pull it a little bit more.
All right, changes ball surfaces for the spare and converts the 3-6-10.
Linda bent knees at the beginning, ball held very high, pushes off on her 2nd step. It's a 5-step approach. Gets down very low to the line, nice straight arm swing. A lot of side rotation on the ball, gets it along through the heads.
Looking for the first strike here of the opening game. Karen Ellingsworth is qualified number 3, Cheryl Daniels number 2, and Tish Johnson right back in that top seat position. A little better ball speed there, nice reaction, and the first strike of the championship round. And Marie Duggan, who averaged 207 on on the championship round pair. Steps up and realizes now is the time to start throwing some strikes. And the 2-5 remains on lane 28.
And she appears to be in a little bit farther on the lane than when I was watching her in practice, Denny. She seemed to be inside of the first arrow on that shot. She was playing a little bit outside of that earlier.
Where'd you play most of the week?
I played in around 10 until the last round and moved out and bowled very well up there.
Got 227 over last night. I'd say that's pretty good. Don't want to hook too much, and it doesn't. If you notice, all of our players tonight will be wearing a little black patch. And, of course, that is in memory of Donna Adamick's mother, who passed away last Saturday in Las Vegas. Eula May Adamick, who was so instrumental for so many years concerning Donna's bowling career. And, of course, all of us on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour wishing Donna and her family our best wishes. And Marie tries to shake things up a little bit, ends up with that same 2-pin that she left in the first frame.
Her ball just not quite finishing enough. You know, Anne-Marie had said she worked on over the break moving right and walking right, sliding around the 12th board during the week, and she's in a little bit farther than that, not quite getting the ball to finish.
Normally we refer to Pat Duggan as Anne-Marie's husband, but I guess that's true. But what we want to also mention is the fact that he is without question her coach as well, and he's been very instrumental in her success over the last couple of years.
She credited him when I talked to her earlier with all of her recent success as far as coaching her as a physical game and her mental game.
Linda Kelly leads by 3, has a strike up in the second, and will take a 13-pin lead if she can figure out how to double here on this championship round pair. Oh, the 5-pin looked like it was down and came back up. Was that the 5?
I think that was the 5.
It moved and came back.
Linda's sliding about the 10th board very far right. Gets the ball all the way out to about the 2nd board, finishing very late. That pin comes back. I think kind of stood that back up.
Isn't that amazing? Well, you know one thing. The bottoms are flat on these pins, huh? Still, no one in the history of bowling has ever missed a 5-pin in the championship round. At least that I know of.
Never.
So that record remains intact, and thankfully so. A 3-pin match here, the opening game. A couple of very talented right-handers. Next week on to Hemet, California,
where we've also never been before.
That's right. First trip ever here to Yuba City, and boy, the city has just done a wonderful job concerning the tour and the players, extending the hospitality, and big crowds all week long. Lots of excitement. That's part of the fun of playing on the national tour. Shot gets away from her a little bit, and she leaves the 3-6-10, and she's had that on the right-hand lane, so at least she's had an opportunity to cover that once here tonight.
Yes, she has. And, you know, speaking of the crowd support, Linda was especially thankful of the crowd support. She said being a player that's not well known, she doesn't have many fans following her around. And she loves television because the fans are rooting for her. And she says it's so much fun for her to have fans behind her like that.
I know one thing, the Kelly family back home is rooting this one on this evening. Uh-oh. She's going to need some help, too, as she takes the 6 and the 10 right off the 3. Her husband, Bob, really is an avid bowling fan, and, of course, her 2 children will be watching tonight.
Ball just continued to slide, never turned over. Just missing the 3-pin.
And realizing that she made a mistake against a very good player, and so now she'll have to double up somewhere along the way to try and regain. That shot had to be left of target the moment that it left her hand, but Anne-Marie gets away with the break. Brooklyn strike, and now she leads by 11, and not happy with the effort, but she'll take the strike.
That ball never got right at the 2nd arrow.
Well, that tells you something right off the bat, though. You know that if you're going a little too far right, the ball's not going to get back, so it's a psychological thing.
It's difficult when you know you have to fit it in one small area.
Came back with a beautiful shot there, though. Shoulders nice and square at the line to make sure you don't leak the ball too far to the right. A double for Anne-Marie, who won more matches in this tournament than any other player.
Those matches are so important, Denny, to win. 30 pins a match. Anne-Marie actually averaging less than some of the other players. However, because of her wins, she made the telecast.
Needing a light hit, and Linda Kelly finishes with the 2-4-5 on lane 28. An interesting lane condition out there this evening. If you make the good, crisp, professional shot with the right equipment and the right angle and the right ball speed, you strike. If you don't, then you've got some problems. Good test for the ladies tonight, I think. Cross lane at the 2-4-5, and a spare up for Linda Kelly.
Good conversion. Linda trailing by 21 going into the 6th frame. She needs to get something going now. For those of you at home wondering how our lanes were conditioned this week, they were conditioned 20 foot down, buffed to 30 feet, very heavy in the middle, very light on the extreme outside of the first arrow. Medium oil from 10 to 5. Which is probably why Karen Ellingsworth bowled so well, especially throughout the early rounds of the tournament. She really likes to get way outside, go kind of direct at the pocket. Cave-in shot for Linda Kelly on the left-hand lane leaves her with just the 10 pin. And she almost got back the break that Anne-Marie just got.
As per usual, though, Jan, the lanes change pretty much every day on the National Tour, don't they, even though the procedure is pretty close to the same?
They do. They change every day. They're trying to put the same condition down. However, there's leagues bowling in some centers in the evenings. The temperature outside, the humidity outside changes the condition.
All right, Linda Kelly with a spare up, trailing right now by 22 to that young lady right there. Capacity crowd on hand here at New Generation Lanes, a brand new facility in Yuba City, California. And if you're not familiar with where Yuba City is located, it's about 40 miles from Sacramento up here in Northern California, 40 miles north. And Marie on a double. Trying to make it 3 in a row. And she does with a beautiful shot. Pat approves. One other note we might pass along, Marie Duggan has just signed to become a Brunswick Advisory Staff member.
Anne-Marie's been using basically Brunswick equipment and is very excited about signing with them.
Take a look at the positions by round, and if you take a look at the big moves and the different colors there, look at Tish Johnson 30th to 6th, and Anne-Marie with a nice move of her own from 20th to 7th, and then Linda Kelly bowling beautifully in the final round last night to qualify in the number 5 position. Two, 4, 5 again, so not much room to play with. Then you see Anne-Marie turn around, shrug her shoulders, and she's thinking, boy, I really threw a good shot there. Why didn't you react?
There was a lot of that throughout the week. You get certain players will get lined in the evening blocks, certain players in the morning blocks.
But no freebies this week in terms of the area, right?
Not a lot of area.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 boards. We're more comfortable with about 4.
Well, I think most players probably are. You knew it had to happen sooner or later. Anytime you leave those clusters, time and time again, in a game in the championship round, sooner or later you're going to miss one, which is exactly what has happened. Now let's see if Linda Kelly can flip around the momentum and perhaps take advantage of that miss.
Linda Kelly, one of the only player on the telecast tonight that has a child, has a daughter Megan at home, and husband Bob are supporting her. And she says Bob is Mr. Mom and has to do everything while she's gone.
Well, he won't mind if she starts to put together some strikes right here. Dinner bucket was there momentarily, and then after the domino effect, only the 5 pin. Linda Kelly struggling, Jan Schmidt, to hit the pocket with any kind of consistency. Whoops. Well, for a moment, it looked like that might hook a little left, but it didn't. And don't forget, ESPN's America's Cup coverage continues next Friday, February 14th, when Jim Kelly, Gary Jobson, and also Peter Isler preview the second round of the Challengers Series New Zealand, and of course Italy are the current favorites. So ESPN once again covering America's Cup as we look at the updated statistics. And Marie Duggan, after the turkey, ends up with an open in the 7th, and now Linda's back to within 18. Oh my, finally hit the pocket, Jan, and the pocket 7-10 is what she ends up with, and that's just absolutely a disaster.
That's a very bad break. We saw a little bit of that this week. That's what happened when the ball finishes very late. See how long the ball's going down the lane, not finishing to the last few feet of the lane, sending the head pin directly left and the 5-pin in front of the 7.
Tough break. Does what she can in terms of count. A wry smile on the lips of Linda Kelly, who is saying, boy, if I just carry that shot, I'm in the thick of this match and I have a chance to win. Now all of a sudden she finds herself in a very precarious position. Marie, after the miss, steps up here in the 8th frame and really could take care of business here in the latter stages of this one. Good speed, solid shot, and a strike on the right-hand lane.
It appears that Anne-Marie has tightened up her line.
So that was one of the things that she worked on prior to coming out on the tour was, hey, I know I can swing the ball and create area. Now I have to learn some different angles, some different shots.
And she said she was very glad that she'd worked on that because she didn't feel she would have been here if she had not worked on that over the break.
Part of the continuing process of becoming a more complete player out here, a versatile player that's able to hit whatever conditions are thrown at you each and every week. Plenty of acceleration through the hit area there and a nice 5 count to boot. So right now the left-hand lane playing mind games with Marie Duggan.
Once again, the ball going very long, breaking very late.
Well, anytime she accelerates and gets any velocity, that ball is going to go even longer than it's going right now. She's throwing a leverage-weighted bowling ball because you and I talked to her in the pregame. And she mentioned that she had gone to leverage weight. She was looking for something that went a little bit longer and hooked quite a bit. She got about half of the scenario that trip. And she had 5 on the first shot, and she picks up 5 on the second shot as well.
Great conversion. Going at from the middle of the lane from the left side of the head pin. Shooting the head pin into the 6th, knocking out the 10.
The furrowed brow. There's the smile. I knew I had it all along. Linda Kelly would just like to close on a positive note. It never fails. Now she strikes. Still could shoot a possible 191, which could make things interesting for Anne-Marie in the 10th.
Could force her to mark.
And on this condition, that is not a gimme. Certainly not a certainty. But first things first, Linda Kelly needs 3 more strikes. How about a break? 5-pin toppled, never even thought about touching the 7. Linda kind of looked at Anne-Marie and gave her the, whew, boy, it's been one of those nights, you know what I mean? And Anne-Marie kind of nods, yeah, I've had plenty of those myself. You can see Anne-Marie gazing over at the scoreboard, realizes that she will advance to game number 2. Really some tough luck tonight for Linda Kelly, who in the latter stages started to throw the ball in the pocket, just couldn't carry it.
Linda finishes up in 5th place. And she did have a rough night. She did start throwing very good, and that look at Anne-Marie was just, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm. Have to wait for another day to win that first LPBT national title. But if Linda Kelly stays out on the ladies tour full time, she'll have some more opportunities before it's all over this year. Little cave-in shot there, so the week has come to an end. Perhaps 3 games too short for Linda Kelly. Decided to give bowling balls to the entire city of Bowling Green, Florida. Bowling Green was chosen because it represents a cross-section of American values, according to Gladys Banker, president of the National Bowling Council. National Family Learn to Bowl Week is designed to introduce all members of the family to the popular recreational sport of bowling. On January 30th, a select team of craftsmen from throughout Florida were sent to Bowling Green for the giveaway to make sure the Columbia bowling balls were custom drilled and personalized for the recipients. As a part of the festivities, parties were thrown complete with a walking bowling pin and also a 30-foot lane on the town green. You don't have to go to Bowling Green to get a free ball. During February and March, bowling centers across the country will offer a short introductory bowling lesson and a free ball to most participants. For more information, call 1-800-223-BOWL. Final tally in game number 1, a 202-170 victory for the current U.S. Open champ, Marie Duggan. And when we come back, she'll face another former U.S. Open champion and an ex-roommate, Karen Ellingsworth. So stick around. It should be interesting. And Marie Duggan will start game number 2 on the left-hand lane. Fresh from a 202-170 victory. And let's see if a game under her belt helps her at all here. As we see, she only struck one time on lane 27.
That has been the toughest lane. It seems to be skidding quite a bit longer than the left lane.
Also looks like she's maybe moved in just a little bit, Jan. A bit of an adjustment to trying to play the outside line just has not worked out. You're going to see somebody right now play the extreme outside line because that's where Karen Ellingsworth is probably best. And anytime she can play outside of like the 3-board initially, she's normally in the hunt.
Karen loves to play out there. That's where she played when she won her last title off in the state.
Ball rolled about 5, so either she tugged it or perhaps maybe easy. She's also trying to maybe move a little bit left because the 1 and 2 and 3 board isn't as playable as it was throughout the week. Really just, as you mentioned, happy to be back on the national tour and bowling without any pain. Of course, any of you out there from coast to coast that have ever experienced any problems with your back, you go out and try and bowl 42 games against the best players in the world. If you've got any problems with your back, it's virtually impossible.
And Karen had mentioned to me that she didn't really feel comfortable that she might lead this tournament because of the condition in the evening. But she did say that if she was able to play those 1, 2, 3 boards, she felt that she could win today. So it'll be interesting to see if she is able to go out there and play out there.
I mentioned Marie and Karen for many years roomed together out here on the national tour. Very, very good friends indeed. So this must be kind of an unusual match for them. More speed, a little high, and a big-time break for Karen, who leaves now just the 3-pin.
Ball's crossing over on both shots. They didn't get a good look at where she set that ball down.
I think there'd be an advantage or a disadvantage in knowing your opponent the way that these two know each other. And would they use that?
That's what I was wondering. It depends if one of them might want to use that. It's something that they know could get at the other player.
I'm sure they probably do. All right, a spare up for Karen Ellingsworth. Down by 1, Marie steps up on the right-hand lane, working on a strike, so a double here would go a long way in securing a little momentum early on.
Karen appeared to be shaking off some jitters there as she walked back off. Saw her kind of shrugging and trying to shake loose.
Well, the interesting note that we mentioned, the last time she won was last year in Hoffman Estates, very close to Des Plaines where she lives, but that was the last time she even made the top 24, so it's been a while.
She probably is feeling a few nerves.
Marie 17-7 in match play this week. Her tournament average was 209 as she continues to utilize that self-talk method. Do you do that, Jan, when you play?
Yes, I do, and I've worked on that. I've read a lot of mental books on you want to picture your shot before you go up there and bowl.
Utilizing some visualization?
A lot of visualization is used by a lot of the players. Marie is one who especially uses it.
So when you say that, when you're standing where she is right now and she looks down, she's actually seeing the line of the ball, the arc of the ball as she'd like to see it when she throws it?
Right. She's watching the ball in her mind. Actually, the arrow it's crossing, how far out it's going, and she's watching it get all the way to the pins in her mind before she bowls.
And watching it crash through the 1-3 pocket for a strike, right?
Right.
Let's see if it works. There you have it. It's as easy as that. Marie with a strike. So it was interesting because lane 27 provided the problems in game number 1, and now she has struck back-to-back on that lane.
She's lined that up. She's moved in. She's setting the ball around the 10th board, only going out to maybe the 6th board, coming back, not getting out right of the first arrow.
Close match here, game number 2. The winner takes on Cheryl Daniels. And then, of course, Tish Johnson will vie for her second consecutive title. She's the top-seeded player. Karen this time with a little looser swing. Pretty good shot, ends up leaving the 2-pin. So she's starting to narrow in on that pocket. The question is, will she get there soon enough?
She made the adjustment for going left, and that time didn't quite finish. So I'm sure the next time on that lane, she'll have it lined up.
Well, the key is getting to the pocket, and then, of course, once you get there, you have to figure out what roll and what ball to use to make sure that you strike as often as possible.
And carry was very good here this week.
Was it?
Once you could get it lined up, you did carry very well.
You obviously did. You shot 227 over last night, so you had to throw some strikes.
Rolled up a new ball, found the one to carry.
The magic ball. Huh? How close did you come? What were you, 56 pins from the show, I think?
55 pins, I think I missed by.
Yeah. Did you have a shot in the last game or two?
I did. Chopped a spare in the game before and didn't throw very good shots the last game.
You chopped the spare, cost you the match?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that figures. And 30 bonus pins. So doesn't take long when you're in the final game or two. Now a 2-4-5 for Karen Ellingsworth, who's a little bit fooled there. Karen thought that she had delivered a pretty nice shot. Take a look now at this pair of lanes and see where Karen is playing and where she's setting the ball down. But we'll have to...
Okay, here's lane 28. And she's setting it down about the 3rd or 4th board. And lane 27. I got that out a little farther, set that down around the 2nd or 3rd board. Did not send it to the left when she put it down.
And converted the 2-4-5, so it's 4 consecutive spares for Karen Ellingsworth, who trails by 5. And Marie once again back on a strike, and let's see what she does here with lane 28. Player looking to just start to dominate on the national tour, I think. Very talented player.
You know, it's interesting about winning the matches. You were mentioning she had a 17-7 record. I talked to her about if there's any reason why certain players may win more matches than others, and she felt it's partially luck, but partially the clutch, that she's good in the clutch, and also she said maybe people are a little bit more intimidated by her now as she's starting to do better on tour.
Now, that's a factor. There's no question. As you gain more and more respect, players are going to realize that they can't afford to make mistakes against you. Of course, that works against you as well, too, because when you're one of the better players, you're a player that's winning titles, other players gear up for you. They take a look at the schedule. They know when you're heading in there, and if they can beat an Marie Duggan or a Tish Johnson, it kind of makes their day.
They do. It can work both ways.
Mm-hmm. Now she's back to the good lane for her anyway, lane 27. Players are still trying to figure out how to throw a couple strikes in a row here in the championship round. And the 2-pin remains. Right now we're kind of in between. If you go a touch right, the ball just doesn't want to finish high enough in the pocket. And if you set it a little bit short, it's through the nose.
I'm going to say, Denny, if they make it through this match, I think the scores are going to improve quite a bit the next game, because it seemed after about 2 games, the lane seemed to settle in to where you had a little bit of area to play.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about at the start of each day of competition.
Right, with the fresh conditioner on the lanes.
Has to be an advantage too for Anne-Marie if she could maybe get by this game. Having 2 full games on the championship round pair would certainly be a positive for her, a very much an asset. The lady in red up quickly, and oh my, big 4 on lane 28.
And you could see on her face, Denny, she thought she made a good shot. She's on lane 28 right now, pulling the ball up about the 4th board, excuse me. She thinks she made a good shot. She's saying, come on. And she's disgust on her face. She's very surprised that that ball finished that hard.
Trying to slide things over. The 4-pin made a ruckus, but didn't do much with the 6 and the 10. So After the big 4, she now trails by 20, but she's not out of this match. I guess that's the way you have to approach it at this point in time.
We're only halfway through, and neither player is really lined up, so it could be anybody's match.
Haven't seen a double yet, so if she could put something together here quickly, she'll still have a shot at Anne-Marie. A little bit shook up at this point. Looks a little bit confused, maybe even a little bit aggravated. Of course, anybody that knows Karen Ellingsworth personally realizes that this one is first and foremost a competitor, and she wants to win very badly.
Karen's one who, she gets the ball quite far out on the lane, and it did appear as if that ball did get a little farther out on the lane than normal.
The only trouble with lofting the ball, I think, at that point in time is that it has a tendency to be a little inconsistent in terms of when it finally gets into a roll. Well, we'll come back with more. And don't forget, on SportsCenter, we have Olympic updates mornings. There you see all the times for those, and of course evening highlights as well from Albertville. And well, things are kicked off over there in the country of France. And at this point in time, we haven't won as many medals as we might have liked, but of course anything we do win, you'll see on SportsCenter. Anne-Marie in a pretty good position right now to put some real heat on Karen Ellingsworth. 4-9. So she makes the adjustment, makes a nice shot, and leaves the 4-9. What about the possibility of converting this, Jan Schmidt? How tough to make the 4-9?
That's a difficult spare, especially this week. With as much conditioner across the middle of the lane, it's very difficult to get the ball to hook away from the 4-pin. You need it to hook and hit to the left of the 4-pin and push it right into the 9-pin. I don't think I saw very many of these picked up this week.
A little overreaction in the last 10 feet. Anne-Marie with a good try, but just couldn't quite get the job done. Of course, in golf, you have caddies, but we also had ball caddies this week at New Generation. And there's a look at a couple of the young folks that help the Lady Pros take the bowling balls from one end of this bowling center to the other. That's really a vital task, and I know the ladies certainly appreciated it.
We enjoyed it. It was a great help to have someone helping you out carrying all your accessories and drinks.
There's a strike for Marie Duggan in the 7th. Came at an opportune time because this match is just 6 spins. I told you Karen would have a shot at this before it was all over. Now she needs to come up with something. Let Anne-Marie know that she's still around. Double bouncer, and the ball goes long, and that's a major league break to leave just the 2-pin. Well, we've watched all 3 players on the telecast struggle a little bit with this championship round pair, Jan Schmidt. If you were playing on that pair of lanes, what would you be doing differently?
That's hard for me to second guess them, Denny, but I haven't seen any of them, although Anne-Marie's last shot, she moved in almost a second arrow. But during the week, some of us played between 10 and 15. I haven't seen any of them really try in there. That's a possibility. But maybe if they hang in there, the conditioner will carry down and develop the shot for them.
Six spares and 7 frames. Karen still searching for that first X. But I guess the good news is she's only 7 pins down.
It is 7-pin match with the difficulty she's been having. That's fortunate for her.
Oh, you're not kidding. As she goes for the first re-rack here of game number 2 on the left-hand lane. Well, if she can strike here, she'll still be able to maybe conjure up a double in the 8th or the 9th. And once again, a ball that comes up light, and the 2-5 is left.
Now, throughout the week, when I did watch Karen, she was able to play there. That ball was reacting for her.
How often do the players get tangled up in playing in an area with the same equipment that they did throughout the week, whether or not it's going to work in the championship round?
That happens, I would say, most of the time, but it's very difficult when you're out there in one match to make a change from what's gotten you there throughout the entire week. tend to want to stay with what got you there.
All right, but I guess my point is that every day they're different, so why would you go out with any preconceived notion that you're going to be able to do what you did throughout the week? I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
Theoretically, that sounds right, Denny, but when you're an athlete and it has gotten you to the top 5 of a competition, you really want to stay with what you did.
Well, the thing is, too, you've developed a lot of confidence in that throughout the week as well. Enough to just pack up and try something different. Anne-Marie looks to me right now, Jan, as if she's kind of playing a shot where I'm just not going to hit it out of bounds. I'm going to do everything I can with velocity to hit the pocket, and I'll just take what I can get.
She's throwing hard and very straight. For Anne-Marie, a player who likes to go right, is playing very direct.
Trying to coax him down, and she does. And a strike here would put her up by 29. Still has a possible 225 game. Well, that'd be a major league bailout after they open in the 6th. Too hard, too fast. 1-2-8. That's the downside of. But I guess when you look at that, no pocket 7-10s, no major splits, no washouts. You can cover the 1-2-8.
Right. She's playing it safe. She's just trying to make playable shots. She did say that she has to try and stay in control tonight because Anne-Marie's natural tendency, if she misses, is to miss to the right. And you cannot do that on this condition.
Covers the 1, the 2, and the 8. Not textbook style, but she gets the job done. A 16-pin advantage as Karen Ellingsworth heads into the 9th frame. The winner of this game will take on the player that was a top seed a week ago, Cheryl Daniels, who qualifies number 2, and then left-hander Tish Johnson will try and win her 2nd consecutive title from the number 1 position. Well, she could not strike hitting the 1-3 pocket. Let's try the 1-2, and she ends up with the 10-pin.
And she was going to make sure that ball got up to the head pin.
Yeah, she is just absolute dead in between right now. No matter what she does, the ball's not reacting the way she would like it.
And this is kind of what she said to me last night. She came over and said that if she feels like if she starts it to the left, it goes across, and if she starts it to the right, it won't make it up to the head pin.
So her worst fears were realized. That better back up, and an open frame for Karen Ellingsworth, who's normally a very reliable spare shooter. Opens the door up for Marie Duggan, as Karen, if she strikes out, would only shoot 174. A glance at the scoreboard, and she realizes now what the bad news is.
Right. Even if she strikes out, Anne-Marie would only need 2 pins on her first ball.
More speed. And finally, former U.S. Open champ turns around and says, thank you very much. I knew I could strike. It was only a question of time. I'm sure there'll probably be some remark made. Really has a great sense of humor, too, for those of you who do know Karen. If you don't, if you ever get a chance to chat with her, do so, because she's a real treat. Very much a free spirit. There we go. See, the arm swing loosens up, and she's saying, all right, Anne-Marie, I knew I could do it, but...
And she is, you know, she's had a rough match, and she's still smiling. That takes a lot of class.
Yeah, it does, because, as we mentioned, she's a gritty competitor. One more strike, and it's a game of 174. And there you go. Striking out in the 10th, and there is a positive side to that. You remember how you finished in the championship round, and hey, she did what she had to do to get there. A couple of breaks here or there, and she might have had a chance to win that match.
And it is 7 pins that she needs on her first ball to shut it out.
Well, 9 is more than enough, so Marie Duggan, just trying to keep the ball in play on the championship round pair, ends up with a victory over her good buddy, Karen Ellingsworth. And for Karen, she'll finish up 4th this week, and you told me that she'll be heading to Hemet, California to play next week.
She will be. She wasn't expecting to because of her back, so she's real excited, and with that finish, I think she'll be ready to go.
Well, she's been working diligently to make sure that she doesn't have any other problems. Well, we'll come back with more here from New Generation in Yuba City, California, in just one moment. 190 to 174 over Karen Ellingsworth, and Jan Schmidt is standing by now with a lady that already has 15 career titles. She's trying to make it 16 here this evening, our top seed, Tish Johnson.
Thanks, Danny. Tish, you won last week to start off the year. Does that ease the pressure for you for this week, or does that put more pressure on you to try and win 2 in a row?
Well, I'll tell you, it has pressure to win a tournament no matter what, but I did it last year, and I would like to do it again.
Thanks, Tish. Good luck. Back to you, Denny.
All right, it's the West Coast against the Motown City. And Marie Duggan from La Habra, California takes on Cheryl. Cheryl Daniels and Anne-Marie Duggan. The winner of this semifinal game takes on Tish Johnson for the Yuba City Open title. And let's see how Cheryl Daniels bounces back from last week's disappointing performance. Just couldn't quite get anything started. And boy, this is like a carbon copy. First shot a washout, and didn't we see that a week ago?
We did, and I talked to Cheryl about last week and what she thought about this week. Was she out for revenge? And she said that it didn't matter who she bowled, what was happening, she was going to win. She said even if it was Santa Claus out there, she was going to beat him. She's ready to win.
That's the attitude. Take no prisoners at this level. Almost kissed the head pin off the 2 and then back into the 10, but Cheryl Daniels with a washout open in the first frame. And so Anne-Marie Duggan goes to work with a little more spring in her step because her opponent has already opened in the first frame.
That eases a lot of pressure right at the beginning of the match.
Comes out striking, trips out the 4-pin. Well, she's had 2 games to zero in here on the championship round pair, and it's a tricky pair. Evening up in terms of the strikes, but still far from high scoring on this particular pair of lanes. Synthetic approaches and synthetic lanes in this absolutely gorgeous facility.
It was great. It's a beautiful center. Only a year and a half old.
Dinner bucket on the left-hand lane.
You know, Anne-Marie wanted me to mention that Pat's grandmother, Thelma White, is under the weather and will be watching it, and they wanted to wish her well. Hope she's feeling better.
Well, she's had to hang in there with Anne-Marie for the first 2 games, so that hasn't been easy either. But, yeah, we wish her the best of luck. Rest, relax, and come back healthy. Nice conversion of the bucket on the left-hand lane. Cheryl Daniels going to have to buckle down now, forget the first frame, and get something started. Every player that we've seen has been tested here by the condition on the championship round pair. Interesting, though, with Tish Johnson, she'll be the only lefty on the telecast. We'll see how she fares. Runaway Brooklyn. And things aren't getting much better for Cheryl Daniels.
No, they're not, but that was her opening shot on each lane, so we'll see next time. Hopefully she'll get it to the right of the head pin.
So what you're telling me is that she should have thrown the shot on the right lane, on the left lane, and she should have thrown the shot on the left lane on the right lane.
It looks that way.
Oh, it is so easy from up here to try and explain what's happening down there. It is really tough. But I guess, see, for me, I can have just as much fun and enjoy a match like this with moderate scoring as I can when people are shooting 250s and 260s. I mean, it still comes down to having to figure out the pair and be versatile and grind it out. I mean, what's wrong with 200 anymore? The game of bowling is, I mean, to me, it's just too easy by and large across the country. People are scoring too high. It's too easy.
It is. Players don't often practice spares. They feel that if they can strike, that's all there's to the game, and there is a lot more to it.
The other thing that I wish we could do is to really provide a good explanation or an analysis of just the difference between the professional condition and what, by and large, people are playing by in league play throughout the country. There is quite a bit of difference in many instances.
There is, and I think probably the easiest way for people to understand is most times in leagues you may have 6 or 7 boards that you can hit and still get to the pocket, whereas we may have only 1 or 2 boards we can hit to get to the pocket.
And the other thing is, people will be at home and say, geez, Anne-Marie's shot 202 and 190. She's already won 2 games. I could do that. Well, the other thing you don't realize is she also played 42 games to get to this position, this position in the championship round, and bowling on a different pair of lanes each and every game without any practice shots. So, not trying to make excuses, just trying to point out sometimes that when you're playing on a condition where the rough is up and the greens are firm and the pins are tucked, a couple over par goes a long way sometimes.
That's a good point. And in watching a golf match, you can see the obstacles in the way, whereas watching a professional bowling match, you cannot see the obstacles out there on the lane.
Just the glare of the lane condition. Where is it going? Where has it been? Is there any left? These are all questions the professionals ask, and normally don't get much of an answer. It's all in ball reaction. You have to see what happens to that thing. Anne-Marie says, "Oh, wait a minute. I made an adjustment here, and all of a sudden now I've got the dinner bucket again on the left-hand lane." She made it the last time, but what are the odds against this?
Anne-Marie appeared to turn around as if she heard something there. I'm not sure if something distracted her. Maybe took her eye off her target for a moment.
Just going to say, you're flirting with disaster if you continue to leave the bucket or the 2-4-5 or anything of that nature. Cheryl Daniels now steps up with an opportunity to make something happen. She struck in the third, and she could double up here. Ends up on the Brooklyn side.
And it's the same place it went last time on lane 28. Trying to make the adjustment, and the ball's still going left.
A bit perplexed, wouldn't you say?
I'm sure she is right at this point. Cheryl moved. She said that she played all over on the lanes throughout the week. She played in, she played out, she played first arrow, second arrow, third arrow. So right now she's probably moving around. She didn't have any one particular place that she was set on playing.
Cheryl leading by 5. Our top seed Tish Johnson knocking down some pins, loosening up and preparing for the championship game. And Marie just trying to focus in and find the solution here to the championship round pair. Some consistency, that's all she's looking for. Hit the pocket a few times, get a couple of strikes. Nice shot, but the 5-pin didn't react, started to go down and came back up.
Cheryl sends that right on lane 27. It hits that oil and just comes back a little late. Karen Ellingsworth just came by here and told us that on lane 27 there is a lot of oil out near the gutter. If you send it right, it just stays there.
Good try as the ball goes whizzing past the 5-pin. Cheryl Daniels in disbelief. Walks back. Right now, it's the first one to the clubhouse with any kind of a score will advance to the championship game. There's that familiar sound. Barbara and Wayne Butler, the co-proprietors here of New Generation Lanes. Had a chance to chat with Wayne earlier today when I first got into town, and didn't even have really all the drawings on this building. He just kind of visualized it and started building, and this is what he ended up with. Interesting way to approach things, huh?
It sure is, and it turned out beautiful.
Oh,
he must have a great imagination.
I was just going to say, it worked out very nicely. Oh, boy, after a couple of buckets, now a washout. Marie Duggan completely disenchanted with lane 27. You mentioned that hold spot. Well, that one not only held, but it straightened out a little bit.
They all seem to be having the same type of reaction on lane 27.
Well, for Anne-Marie, it's 3 consecutive shots that have not finished on the left-hand lane, so she's probably moving with every one. Just missing on the washout. Smile from Anne-Marie, but you better believe she is disappointed. Cheryl Daniels with a fresh piece of tape. Maybe that'll be the key to a strike here on lane 28.
Ever wonder why you're...
And while we were away, a shot through the nose for Cheryl Daniels on the right-hand lane in the 6th frame. Let's take a look at it.
Cheryl's still trying to adjust on that right-hand lane. Tightened up the line a bit, expecting to hit some oil and have it hold, and it didn't. Cheryl apparently feeling that she didn't have the proper ball feel. She was working on her ball during a good part of the commercial break, working with some tape, trying to get the right feel.
Both players with at least a couple of opens. A 3-pin lead for Cheryl Daniels. And the first one to figure out this pair of lanes will get a chance to bowl for the title. Of course, in watching Tish Johnson practice, she wasn't striking at will either, so 190, 195 could win the title. You never know. Nice shot there for Cheryl Daniels, who strikes on lane 27.
Cheryl got a good ball reaction there on lane 27. Found the area of the lane where the ball will react.
And Marie back to work. And a little 6-pin out of the channel takes out the 10. Now the true test after 3 times barely getting the ball back to the pocket on lane 27. Let's see if she makes any kind of a big move here. Heck, I'd go dead right and start throwing that thing like a rocket at the pocket. I wouldn't give it a chance not to hook. Do my eyes deceive me? No. She has made the adjustment necessary and comes up with a double.
There's her strike on lane 28, the first strike she had. Getting that little tap of the 6-pin out of the channel to knock the 10 over.
Back to live action. And near Brooklyn for Cheryl Daniels, who has, I think, missed the head pin to the left 3 consecutive shots on lane 28. So it's either time to move the feet to the left or move the target to the right.
It appears as though she's moving, she keeps feeling she's moving enough, but hasn't been yet.
She's not. I can tell you that right now. You're not moving enough until you get that thing in the 1-3 pocket. Of course, you have to be cautious. You move a little too far, and then you leave the washout.
Want to make sure they at least hit the head pin, and that's why you don't want to make too huge of a move. But at this point in the match, she's going to need to.
Let me ask you this: when your opponent has a double, you're down by 7, you're heading into the 9th frame. I mean, what have you got to lose at this stage?
You go for broke now.
Okay, let's see. This has been the better of the 2 lanes for Cheryl Daniels. Nice roll. Boy, it's interesting now because both players are kind of zeroed in on one lane, but they're opposite lanes. If they were both in a doubles match, they'd be shooting 250.
He'd be perfect.
And Marie will be the first to finish. She's working on a double right now. Haven't seen many of those tonight. How about a turkey? Oh, here she comes. She's saving the best for the end of this game. Cheryl pondering, boy, do I have a strike in me on the right-hand lane to give myself a chance?
She has just made 3 excellent shots in a row. Putting the ball exactly where she wants to. No room for error out there.
A game of 212. A couple more strikes, and she's a winner. Oh, beautiful shot. Well, this is what I anticipated might have happened in game number 2. Anne-Marie has really started to figure things out. It just took a little while.
Took a little longer than we thought. I thought probably the beginning of this game, but took about 5 more frames than that.
Cheryl Daniels has begun to put it together, but more than likely, she's going to run out of time. And Marie right back at him. Ooh, tripped out the 4 and got a break because the 9-pin was, or make that the 6-pin, I should say, was changed.
And that was enough.
first strike in the 10th really put her in the position to win the match. Nice comeback, though, a four-bagger. As you said, 4 really fine shots because there's not much room to play with out there. Anne-Marie comes storming back and defeats Cheryl Daniels, who 2 weeks in a row has really bowled well to get to the championship round and then just hasn't had the type of condition to do much with. When we come back, they're down to just 2 players, Anne-Marie and Tish Johnson. Breaks and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. All right, let's talk about the key shot in game number 1. It came in the 8th frame for Linda Kelly, and it was actually a pretty good shot, Jan.
It was a very good shot, trailing by only 18 pins, needing to strike here to get back into the match. Hits her target, gets the ball well down lane, ball just finishing a little too late, shooting the 5-pin in front of the 7, leaving a 7-10.
Linda was hoping for the strike and ended up with the pocket 7-10, and of course had to settle for 5th place. The final score, Anne-Marie winning 202 to 170. So then we moved on to game number 2, and for Karen Ellingsworth, it was the no-no. You never want to miss a single pin spare.
9th frame, only down by 16 pins, still could get into the match. Karen, usually a very excellent spare shooter, straightens the ball out, just doesn't get it far enough right.
And so Karen Ellingsworth went down to defeat in game number 2, 190 to 174. She bounced back by striking out, but it was a little bit too little too late. And then, of course, the semifinal game for Anne-Marie, the clincher, the first strike in the 10th.
Anne-Marie, after throwing 3 great shots, needs the first strike and 7 pins to shut out Cheryl Daniels, making yet another great shot.
Talking it in all the way. That was enough for the victory. Marie Duggan in the semifinal, 201 to 163 over Cheryl Daniels. And so that leads us to the final 2 players. 70 started the week, and now it's just Marie Duggan. Marie Duggan, Tish Johnson, ready to square off for the Yuba City Open title here in Yuba, California. Marie with a very solid performance in the semifinal game with a game of 201. There's a 4-bagger there after a couple of opens. She starts the title game with a shot that is a fortunate one through the nose, leaving just a 3-pin.
And that's right back with how she was doing earlier in the match. She got that ball a little left and it hooked.
And it hooked through the nose. And kind of an inconsistent reaction in terms of what the players are getting. When you see a professional player turn around after they've thrown a shot and you know that they've done exactly what they wanted to and they don't hit the pocket, that's when they get confused.
It's difficult, and you really don't know where to go at that point when you've done what you think you need to do and it doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's a challenge.
It's a real challenge.
A test of character too, right? Top seed's first shot, and that ball went a little bit long. Tish knew it, and an unfortunate break for her in the opening frame. Trying now to slide the 3-pin over into the 7. Will not happen. So an open frame for Tish Johnson. And, of course, the bowling world lost a very dear friend in the latter stages of January. Former WIBC president Helen Baker, who retired in 1988 after many, many years of faithful service to the Women's International Bowling Congress, and we're all going to miss her very much. Wow, Tish Johnson made the 5-pin dance. The only problem was the 7-pin stayed.
Tish making a real good shot on lane 27. I talked to Tish earlier about how she felt about being the only lefty on the telecast, and she was enthusiastic that after she practiced, the shot would remain the same, wouldn't get any additional carry down until she got back on the lanes.
Oh my, another error for Tish Johnson. Boy, you just don't ever see her do things like that. Misses the 7-pin, so she has put herself in a position where Marie Duggan could jump all over her at this stage if she comes up with a couple of strikes. You don't often see a title won in the first 5 frames of a match, but it could happen here tonight, although Anne-Marie leaves the 2-4-5. A lot of shrugging shoulders and long sighs of relief watching this one tonight.
Both players out there are very discouraged, I'm sure. Although Tish just now getting on the lanes. I'm thinking she can still line this one up.
Oh, as explosive as Tish is, you never know what she's going to do. And Marie takes the 2 and the 4 off of the 5.
This was her shot on lane 28, leaving the 2-4-5 ball, never finishing. And look at that. It's a question mark. Why did that happen? I know I made a good shot.
Anytime that doubt creeps in, then all of a sudden you start grabbing the next shot or trying to guide the ball a little bit into the pocket, and that's when you start to hit the washouts and throw it through the nose. 5-pin moves around. The 7-pin remains. This one really, and I think each and every one of the matches that we've seen tonight, Jan, is a test of wills more than anything else. And there's just one other point I want to make. The A game is not working for any of the players, okay? So do you have to have a B and a C game? I mean, should they be maybe for Anne Marie moving a little more right and just throwing the ball with more velocity at the pocket? Or, I mean, obviously what they're doing right now isn't working particularly effectively.
Right, it's not, but Anne Marie has won 3 matches. So I'm sure in her mind she feels I'm going to stay with what I'm doing. It's gotten me through 3 matches. At this point, if she were to move out and just try and throw hard, she doesn't really know what would happen.
Tish Johnson starts to run it out, but she stayed very close to lane 28 because if you felt all along that ball wasn't going to finish, and it didn't.
That ball not quite finishing. I'm not sure which ball she's using of the 5 that she drilled this week.
Applauds herself for the spare, asks for a little in kind from the audience, and she gets it. And don't forget, also Big Monday, a triple header, Villanova and Pittsburgh. That's what starts things off, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Then it's Colorado and Iowa State, sandwiched in the middle, and the very end, Utah State and New Mexico State. Big Monday, a triple header for you college basketball fans and for you Tish Johnson fans. A strike, thankfully so, on lane 27.
Way out about the 2 board, ball finishing very late. Sliding the head pin off the wall, coming back, tripping out the 10 pin.
Well, it was that hip action that finally got the ball to finish. Let's see if Tish utilizes that the next time around. Anne Marie trying to fight back. A little more swing on this shot, and a familiar scenario, the 2-4-5.
Saw a lot of those all week, and they were also very difficult to pick up, to convert this week.
Anne Marie defeated Linda Kelly 202 to 170 in game number 1. Then she bested Karen Ellingsworth 190 to 174, and then defeated Cheryl Daniels 201 to 163. 2-4-5. This time it goes away, although it took a while.
And look at that smile. Denny, she was worried. She thought she was going to chop that one again.
Win or lose, Anne Marie's going to be tired when this one's over. I mean, she has really gutted it out here this evening.
And that takes more out of you than throwing strikes.
Oh, you better believe it. 2-4-5 again. Well, if not anything else, at least Anne Marie is well schooled in that shot tonight. I mean, she's batting like 800. I think she's left it 5 times, and she's converted it 4 out of 5. So.
Come on, get up there.
Not yet. A little more time. 2-4-5 is spared up. And this is a 2-pin match. Anne Marie leads by 2. Tish Johnson on a strike, though. And let's see if the top seed can put together a double. Good roll here. Oh, yeah. An explosive shot there. Excellent roll. She had a handful of that ball when it came off her fingertips.
Hit it on the head, Denny. She likes to get a lot of forward roll on that ball. She set that ball down very early. Got a rotation early, and the ball reacted early rather than going so long down the lane.
Tish Johnson, the type of player that doesn't keep switching bowling balls. She would much rather do things with speed, angle, and hand position. And she's a master at it. This one came off nice as well. Oh, that's what a top seed is supposed to do, Jan Schmidt. Come up when the heat is on and throw the ball in the pocket.
An excellent shot.
And Marie now down by 8. Or maybe even 18. Cave-in shot on lane 28. Just the 10-pin remains. Look at Anne Marie every time she gets up to throw a spare. It's like the end of the world. It's supposed to be that tough. Oh, she knew it all along. Well, we saw Karen Ellingsworth miss a 10-pin. It looks as if you don't get that thing on line in a hurry. There's enough back end down there where the ball just hooks a little early.
Did she miss it the exact same way that Karen did? It's a 30-pin match at this point.
A strike for Anne Marie. But Tish Johnson right now is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, she's fighting back.
Oh, there's still time. Shot was wide from the very beginning, so it's not the 2-4-5. Obviously, it's the 3-6-5 for the left-handers. Just as tough though on the left side as it is on the right.
Same exact conversion.
And you can take the 3 and the 6 off the 5 just as easy. Oh boy. After the turkey, an open frame. A little giveaway takeaway going on right now, but after watching the first 3 games, I did not suspect that there was going to be a clean game bowled in this championship round this evening.
It didn't appear that way. I don't think there were a lot of clean games all week. There were a lot of strikes.
Just like that. Tish is saying, why didn't that happen the last time? As Kathy and Roy, her parents, look on. Oh, they look a little bit grim at this stage, don't they?
Little concerned.
Yeah, I'd be too. But they know she'll pull through in the clutch. She always does. Easier said than done.
Anne Marie could pull this within 5 with a strike here.
And she does. All right, now we got ourselves a match. Heading into the 9th frame. Anne Marie on a double, down by 5, and could retake the lead with a strike here in the 9th. Lane has not hooked back all night long, but it finally does. There you go. The double look, the double throwdown for Anne Marie with a strike in the 9th.
And she let that one right, Denny, but she was pumped. A lot of fingers on that ball. It came back. She goes, yeah, get down, get out of there. I'm in this match.
Fighting all the way. Now back. The momentum could swing to Tish Johnson, who's on a strike. Cut that shot a little bit short. Oh, a major disaster for her in the 9th frame. All Mom can think about is not now. How could that happen?
Critical 9th frame. Setup frame.
Tish Johnson with a big letdown there. She was disappointed in that shot. If she'd have struck right there, could have retaken the lead. Now, if she throws a turkey, she only shoots 181. She averaged 226 on this pair of lanes throughout the week. It's a start.
She's going for it. She wants to put a little bit of pressure on Anne Marie in that 10th frame.
Well, if she throws 2 more, Anne Marie will have to mark in the 10th frame in order to capture the Yuba City Open and clinch her 5th career title and first win of the year.
And Anne Marie right now is hoping she doesn't have to mark.
Gotta have this one. Oh, good shot by Tish Johnson, who says, yeah, don't fall down. That's pretty much the way it's gone all evening. So with the spare, it'll be 171, and Anne-Marie now just needs good count in the 10th frame. And, boy, you'd much rather walk up and have to throw a shot like that to win a title than to have to mark. Disappointing night for Tish Johnson, who was really looking to win 2 in a row and get a leg up on everybody in that Bowler of the Year race, but she'll have to settle for 2nd place unless Anne-Marie does something really squirrely at this point in time.
I'm sure Tish, though, when she thinks about it, 1st place and 2nd place start is a great start for a year.
Oh, yeah. Stay behind the line, make a good shot, and that's how you want to lock up a title. Marie Duggan, the current U.S. Open champ, with a victory here at New Generation Lanes in Yuba City, California. We'll take a break. Anne-Marie clinches her 5th title and 1st win of the 92 campaign as she wins the Yuba City Open title. But Anne-Marie Duggan, the winner of the Yuba City Open, and boy, it was a tough trip tonight. She won 4 consecutive matches, and to her right is the co-proprietor, Wayne Butler, and to her left, the general manager here at New Generation Lanes, Larry Nelson.